Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again with the beautiful Roselin, and we are starting the afternoon session with three other speakers. Thank you so much, Emma. It was an amazing conversation for the youth and the career choices. And thank you for all the viewers who tuned in. And today we have also something fascinating that I'm following Roselin for a long time. She's leading an amazing, huge community in Malaysia and all around. Actually, it's also global. I think you have a lot of Indian ladies coming into your community, right? So I'm really, really happy to have you here. And we will talk about an initiative that you are putting together, that is formulating, and that you are working so hard to make it happen. But before we go there, Roslyn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. And I'm Andrea's fan for the past few years, and she has have so big heart to do this every year for us. And I know it's never been an easy to run a talk show, a summit. And this woman here is so incredible. Thank you for bringing all of us together in one platform so we can actually share our thoughts and passion and what we do, Andrea. So first, thank you to you. And yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Roselin. I'm also known as a digital marketing strategist, mentor, coach, expert. Well, I will always say I'm not an expert yet because when it comes to digital, we always need to learn and learn and learn. And I'm very, very passionate about community building because when I started my journey on entrepreneurship, it was very lonely and there was no support. There are many times that I crumble and I used to wonder, why am I still doing this, and why the question why is never ending as an entrepreneur, when you're alone. And I realized the importance of a support system, especially being probably guys would be thinking, what do you mean being guys is easy? No, that's not what I mean, guys. But being a woman, it's a bit more challenging for us to actually be an entrepreneur because we do carry a lot of hats, and at times a lot of judgment are thrown to us. So handling it alone is a bit more trickier compared to when you have a support system to tell you, hey, you know what, I'm there with you, let's do this together. So that's where the passion brought me to build a community group, which calls Homepreneur Empowerment Network. That doesn't mean only homepreneurs are there. Why I actually made it as homepreneur, because I want a woman who stay at home who feels I am not capable enough to do anything. But no, you are. You can do anything from anywhere just for you to earn something for yourself so that you can bring up your confidence, at the same time the economy for your family. So that is something that has made it so special today. That's why I never give up, no matter how hard it is building the community, because I know the value of it. And that's where we teach women how to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business from home, how do you manage the whole stuff, and at the same time, how do you market it. And our group has been grown now, almost at 30,000 members we have, so we are growing. And we do have a lot of them who is not longer homepreneur. They also became established business owner right now, who also have their business going global. So every year when we hear a success story like that, it always very close to our heart and make our heart feel so nice. And that's like our chill pill. Yes, and what we do.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and then people sometimes don't see how much work it goes into. But we both know that keeping up a community, showing up for them every day, even if you have your personal life and everything is happening around you, you still have to be there. You still have to care for them, and we do it with all our heart. And it's just something that we are driven by, right? So I'm
Correct.
bringing up your topic today, which is about building a digital village. And for explaining that, let's just talk a little bit about your brand Mom's Village and your partner and everything what you do.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, the building up, actually initially we wanted to build a eco co-working space community. We wanted to have it physical. We wanted everyone who has a business, because end of the day, at some time it costs a lot to have our own office and do things. So we thought, let's do this. Then COVID hit. Of course, the big word came up and all of us were stung, and all of us have to be in the house and be safe and all that. Then me and this journey of Mom's Village. Why Mom's Village came on board first is because a struggle of a mom who wants to build an identity for herself with the kids around, who doesn't have a babysitter, don't know what to do with the kid, and having a house errands, but at the same time the fire within her tells her that she needs to do something for herself. We thought we will bring these ladies together into one place so we can actually achieve the mission and vision that we have together. But of course, situation did not allow us to have a physical office then. My partner Vatsala Nair Manoharan, she is a advocate of a domestic against domestic violence. She speaks a lot about red flags and how you should actually overcome when you are in such a situation, because many of us don't know we are even in a domestic violence situation. When we hear the story, we realize that they think it's normal, that's how life is, but life is not like that. So she does a lot of that, and I am from a background of teaching everyone to do marketing online so you can actually establish a brand. We came together, and of course she asked me to marry her into the business, and I said yes. And since 2018 our journey started together, guys, and today we are very proud to tell you that our community is growing stronger. And when we lost our physical office, we said let's go digital. Let's empower women through digital village, from anywhere, anytime, and for anyone. So that was a big vision that we got stuck in, and that's where the whole journey started. Because why and for just for all of the information, Moms Village is actually a social enterprise, and we work very closely. Our beneficiaries are domestic violence victim. Why this particular area that we are focusing on? Because we realize one of the biggest problem why women still stay in the abusive relationship, because of finance. She's not financially independent, so she feels that she has to go through whatever she's going through, because that's, if not, then she can actually move from her zone. So that's where we realized, and we started saying, okay, let's teach them how to make money first, then let them decide what they want, because the moment they can stand on their own feet, they will be able to make a decision for themselves in a better way. So it worked. You know why? Because today I'm proudly to tell all of you that the business woman in my organization, in the community that we have been building, has improved their social or their monthly income by 30 to 40% just by being with us and promoting their business on social media. So that's where digital village became like our very important method, because currently business behavior, people wants to have that love care before they buy from someone. So we advocate a lot about that. Yeah, that's why we are where we are, Andrea.
And I remember all the times like we have been together in this. You were coming to the summit for 3 years now, and I know all your struggles. I know what you have been going through, and it's just super nice to see that. Okay, you started here and you are here today, and it's just a beautiful thing to see how many people you are empowering in this community. And I guess it's also beautiful for you to see, okay, I made this woman get here having financial independence, and also supporting her to stand on her own feet, which is just beautiful to do with a human being. So congratulations on that, and I wish you a lot of patience and power to continue on that. And about making it digital, because we are in the weekend of the summit, which is all about leadership, and kind of like it also takes a good leader to switch from one platform to the other when you are preparing for something local, something in person, and then you have to switch that whole community and say, okay, let's switch direction. It will be digital. So it takes a lot of creativity, and it takes a lot of leadership skills. So how did you manage? How was it, the switch, and what did you need to do to really make it happen?
Very interesting question. Uh, I think, Andrea, you probably would recall the first International Women's Day that we did. We got you in as our speaker, and that time we only had about 2,000 members. And
Yes.
and when we got connected with you, we told you this is what we want to do, without knowing what are we getting ourselves into, because that's after we did our first global empowerment summit. So then that's where when the COVID hit at that time. Before that, uh, we were lost. That's the real thing. We were lost because now we have an office, but we cannot operate it. What do we do? So we were servicing the rental of the office every time. And then while we thinking and thinking, then I told Vatsala, let's go digital. Let's show people there are such a community existing on Facebook. Let's make a lot of noise online. The very first thing that we did is we did the Chit Chat with Roses talk show, where no matter what, 1 week, twice we were running it. We want people to know that we are there to empower and celebrate the woman who is in business. So we started with that, and then that talk show actually started to bring in more people. There are people who even messaged us and said that talk show alone has made them to inspire that they want to do a business. So that was something that motivated us to, yes, that means this work. And then we also have another pain point where women couldn't come out and do things because um, they can't leave the kid anywhere, they have to be at home. And so we thought, okay, putting all in together, we have this pain point where women cannot go out and do something. We also have a pain point where they are everywhere and their time are so restricted. Less than just focus on a platform that can attach with everyone, which is Facebook. And then we did our StreamYard and Zoom, where we do all our meetups and all that. And we also realized that women who start business from home needs constant motivation. That motivation has to be so constant. Sometimes you go like, oh my, you've been sweating about it, because it's because the point where you go like, I want to give up, is so easy. It's like I can just drop it and go to my normal life. So that's where we thought, okay, let's. So when we started it, then we start realizing a lot of people started following our style of doing talk show, to bring in community and to make people, a lot more groups started doing that. Then we realized, hey, I think we're on the right track. So again, validation, sometimes you just get into something without knowing why are we doing that. So we did that for 6 months, and then that's where the name started growing. And one of the very what would I say, something that very appreciative, or something that I would be very proud of ourselves, is when people think about Homepreneur Empowerment Network, they always say the group is a learning group. So I always have this motto: learn, unlearn, and relearn. And when you actually hear audience telling you, you go to Homepreneur Empowerment Network, yes, they do sell, they do buy, but they are very much focusing on teaching and learning. I think that I have fulfilled the vision that me and what's wanted in Mom's Village, because we believe without learning, you will never be able to go to next level. So today, we organized an award ceremony last year for those outstanding 6 entrepreneurs, and these 6 entrepreneurs are shining, and they are now speaking, and they are becoming a leader. So that impressed us a lot. That a joy of a leader is making another leader. And I always tell them that, guys, if you can do something, you duplicate, or even you do better than us, I think we will be the first person to be happy and supporting you. And this woman are amazing, Andrea. They are just going out there, spreading their wings and bringing in more people. And one people can empower somebody like that, I think the world will definitely be in a better place. So that's where a very interesting, we didn't really plan for it lah, just to let you know. It just went with the flow, and here we are today.
No, I really love it, and I love the story, and I really have seen you grow. So I can just attest that it was happening like this. Like you found your path, you did your journey, you started your talk shows, you built your community, you are empowering the people, and then they start to empower others. And it's just a nice thing to see that it's like a chain working on its own at the end. When you start it and kickstart it on a good way, like you did, then it's bringing new people, and then the people who are fond of you because you started their journey, then they will always come back and support the original home, and that's the Homepreneur Network. So I'm really, really happy to get to know you, to see the journey, and I'm really congratulating you for what you are building. We all know how hard it is. We are on the other side. Sometimes we need to take a little break and okay, we need to just step back and look at it, okay, where we are going, what we are doing. But I think it's also important, the education part that you mentioned, that you are also teaching them about the social media, the digital, how to use digital in a very nice way. This is also where we align, that we have to catch up with the technology, and some people cannot. And it's something that those people who have the opportunity or have the tools, we have a little bit of common responsibility, right, that we share to help others, to educate them. So thank you for that, Roselin.
Thank you, Andrea.
So it's great, but I also would like to ask you what's the future? How does it look like? What are the things that you're planning to do? Now you have this huge community, and then what's next? What are the plans for the future, for next year, for the next 5 years?
So actually, we're moving in. Our ultimate goal is to be like Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
You see, in a way of, because a lot of them come to us that they have an idea but they don't have funds to run and all that. So we the intention of bringing in people who like to invest on these businesses, and the idea is that the idea of that this should be a Shark Tank like look-alike or whatever you call it, right? We want to be that, so we can actually help those women who don't have the funds to actually start off their business, and so they give it as like a paid forward thing, and then they pay back, and then another woman will get another opportunity so that she can run. That's our 5 years or long term plan, I would say. But moving forward, we are actually we have been trying to get a grant or an opportunity where we can advocate, or we can run a program for this woman who stay at home, and then give them a plan of, some of them come to us with ideas, great, then it's easy to work with. Some comes to us without knowing what to do. So what is an initiative that I have taken up for those who really thinks I really don't know what to do is, there is a job opportunity called virtual assistant. Okay, and virtual assistant is something that's quite new in Malaysia but not in overseas. So I've been actually talking about this for the past 3 years, and a lot of people come and ask me, what's virtual assistant, what do you do in virtual assistant? So virtual assistant is just someone who does work for you through virtually. And most of the time, managing staff or managing team is the most difficult part to do as an employee, especially if you are all you do everything yourself. So then I thought, since I can train on social media at the same time, admin and accounts and all this kind of paperwork are not so difficult to be done, so I can do the training and can create a virtual assistant group among these women who doesn't know what to do yet. And then once we get our client, these ladies will be able to earn with under our supervision, and we make everybody happy. So I had the demand and I had the supply. So I started this, Andrea. I don't know if you noticed us posting about it. This past 6 months, we are talking a lot about virtual assistant. And current moment, we have almost 10 clients every month retaining with us for a virtual assistant who helps them to take care of their social media business pages, or to do their admin, sales admin, or even to make their calls, or even to manage their admin side.
That's
So in
beautiful because there's a lot of opportunity here. I know that already an established virtual assistant can gain and earn a very nice salary, and that's, I think it's a good empowerment. That's something that can be done global. You just have to adjust the time zones, and it's a great opportunity for people.
Yeah, so that's where these ladies who come, and then they the end of the day, I guarantee them there is a way to make money. So that's what we are doing at this moment. But that's a way of me telling them making money is not so difficult, because majority of them has they start making money. Even 10 ringgit per day is very difficult. So I tell them, no, it's not actually. Let me teach you how to do. So I actually came up with that, and we are still ongoing though. There's a lot of processes that we need to fix, because handling client, being in between is not an easy job, Andrea. You know that very well. So that's something. But the ultimate goal, if you ask me, is, yeah, being the Malaysian ikan jerung I read just now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and I think it's we were just talking about that. We just launched with a European partner the women startup competition, and we were talking about it's so important, and I saw it in the competitors, in the ladies that joined us, that there is so much of a need to open the picture and to think not just locally but globally, because there are so many competitions. So there is a big need in incubators, there's a big need in education, there's a big need in being able to make people forget that they can't join global competitions and can't access global funds, because we saw it, like there were a few people, it was the first time, but still those who won, they will go to Europe, they will showcase their ideas, and they can take from that amount, from that fund, and they can turn it into their success and build their community. So amazing plans. I kudos to you for that and for building it.
Thank
And
you.
on the side of the campaign side, because it's about marketing, um, it's about being visible. You are very, very good in that, being a digital expert. So what are the things that people can do nowadays, similar what you did, showing up every week, 2 days, 2 weeks, sorry, 2 days a week, and so and so. So what are the things that people can do to build their visibility online and digitally? And hi, Kido.
Okay, yeah, he has been running around behind me. Yeah, there, taking his towel. Sorry for that,
No
guys.
problem. It's
Just
like
get
this. We
ready.
have cats and kids. That's for today.
Okay, being visible is so important because that's the only way people can see us everywhere and anywhere. Going global, one of the way that we actually do things is to show up. Like what, 1 week initially was so crazy, right? I told you 1 week once talk show, and then we do our ask us anything session. Like literally 5 days we are just live, and then you go anywhere. I even have people telling me, "Oh my God, Rose, I go Facebook, I go Insta, I go LinkedIn, I see your face only." I go like,
You are
oh,
everywhere.
you are everywhere. And I go like, okay, hopefully it gives a very good branding and not like she's talking all of us was socially. So that was a good thing because when people recognizes you and people see you, and I do get a lot of call or a lot of opportunity speaking in an event because of my visibility. So a part of that, I'm also a BNI member where it brings a lot. Again, visibility plays a bigger role when it comes to BNI. And because I was already very comfortable of being visible, I became very visible in BNI as well, even to the extent of regional BNI office started recognizing who's Roselin or something amazing. And then it's much easier to spread your wing and tell people what you do, and you can get more people to come and support the cause because one person can only do one. That's the reason why I love Andrea, because this woman is so amazing. I don't know how she does it. Sometimes me and Zsapka go like, it's so overwhelming, but I've never heard Andrea signing anything in that form. So it's when you get together, you have more hands and you actually do more things and you get connected with more people. So for me, my main thing is don't be shy, don't have fear, just do what you need to do. Talk about what are you passionate about and ensure you are consistent. That's another keyword. Majority of the time I see lots of business owners or even digital marketers are very afraid to show themselves online. I take a big sigh and go like, how lah? Then client ask you, are you online? Are you getting your sales online? And the answer is no. Then how is the credibility going to be established? So just break the fear. Nothing is going to happen. People are going to judge you. Fine. You do good, they will judge you. You do bad, they will judge you. Let them judge. Just do you. That's all. Just do you. And when you continue doing it, then people will know what are you doing for, and your visibility will get better. A part of all that as well, what we used to do is we do go ahead and participate with any organization that's similar like us who wants us to be part of it. We try our best to give the 100% that we can so that we can make it work for them as a group as well, because it's not because our vision are the same, it's just the way we do things different. So as long as the vision are same and we can get along well and do things together, me and Watts are always ready for anyone who goes into this line. We are just by you, walk with you throughout until you tell us, hey, enough, I don't want you to. And then we go like, okay, fine, we will stay, you go ahead. So we always tell that to our community, we will walk with you until you tell us, I think I'm enough with you too. Then we go like, okay lah, fine lah, I'll let you walk. Huh? So that's how that's something that keeps us going, Andrea.
Yeah, beautiful journey and a lot of passion. I can see it. It's coming through. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for coming to this interview, and telling us about all your passion and all your work, what you do. And I say hi to Watsala also. I'm sure she's watching it. If not now, then later. And for her work also so amazing to empower women who are living in this abusive relationship. And it's just beautiful things that you do. So keep on doing it. As I said, have a lot of power to do that, and I believe that success is coming to you. The funds are coming towards you. I already see that, and you can build it more and more. So thank you so much, Roselin, and have an amazing day.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you for having me on the show, and thank you so much for always being there. Love you so much. And as you know, we are always there for you. So just thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Mwah. Bye. Thank you for
Bye
all of
bye.
you who's been watching me, and I hope I did a bit of justification on my interview to actually tell you all how important digital village is when you're actually moving forward, business way or even as a community. All right.
Please search
Thank
for
you.
the Home Entrepreneur Network and also for Rosalinda's on Facebook, on LinkedIn, so you will find her. And also on Instagram, she's popping up everywhere with with Vatsala. So don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Bye
Andrea.
bye.
Bye.
See you.
Hi there, I'm Jai Narayan. Now, why should you join the Global Empowerment Summit 2022 this year? Because, as they say, the human mind, once stretched with new experiences and learning, never regains its original dimensions. So come, join us, stretch your hands, stretch your legs, and most importantly, stretch your minds. I'm going to be there. I will hope to see you too. Bye for now.
Hello everyone. I already see my next guest coming up, so I will bring Kiran up and we will start another conversation which will be about negotiating in a conflict. I'm so happy to have her in the studio and welcome her. Let's welcome her and bring her up to the stage. Hi Kiran, how are you today?
Hi, Andrea. Good morning. Lovely to be here. And it was a very interesting conversation you had with Roselin just now.
Yes, exactly. I'm so adore her since the beginning, since I follow her, so much work that she's doing in building that community. So I applaud her for what she does. And I'm happy to have you now in the studio and we will be talking about something exciting. But before we do so, please introduce yourself a little bit, Kiran. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, I'm Kiranjit Kaur, and I am a professor in public relations at the University Technology Mara in Shalam. I have also gone into coaching, mentoring, and training. And one of the things I have been looking at is executive and business coaching. So when Rosalie was speaking just now, I realized how much I could relate my topic to hers. So that's a little bit about me, Andrea. And welcome to all our guests here today.
Yes, they're all lining up. So Amelia is here, Christian is here, Jack is here. So all the supporters are lining up to watch us and to support you. And I know that this topic is huge, so I would like to just jump into it. So what do you think is so important in negotiating? Where would we start is always the titles. Negotiating in a conflict. What does it mean for you? Before we go to all the questions, because setting the definition straight will put everyone on the same perspective. So tell us a little bit more about your title that you chose for today.
Right, sure. I want to focus more on communication in negotiation. You know, in any kind of negotiation, it's always about communication. So if I continue even from what was said earlier, you know, setting up all the social enterprises and then having these partnerships, and there'll always be conflicts amongst the partners in businesses. That always arises. And if you really look at it, very often, why do we have these conflicts? Why we have them? The root cause is always about poor communication. It's always that you know, there will be somebody in there in that partnership that says that they don't have a voice, that they lack some kind of, there's no open dialogue, or they feel that that where they may have agreed on a partnership initially in this enterprise, for example, what happens in a lot of cases in these, especially in the social enterprises, is that very little legal parameters are set up among the partners. It's normally started up, if you look at, especially if you look at the COVID situation, many of the partnerships were set up more along the line of, let's think of doing something, we are stuck at home, let's do an online business, for example. And they're more concerned about what product we want to sell, how we're going to sell it, what profits we'll make, rather than the long-term situation of how we're going to continue and sustain the business over time. And it's exactly like what Roselin was speaking just now. All these women coming out from a very problem situation, they're not thinking long-term. They're actually thinking short-term, getting out of the rut right now and moving on in life. And with time, that's when your conflicts will start, will always begin. And often it's because there was very little communication to set up the parameters in the first place. And along the way, people begin to misinterpret what they originally thought was going to happen in the business. For example, what they originally thought was the way they were going to conduct the business. Values were not thoroughly discussed initially. And often some partners will, and this is something that I have seen through even my coaching, that partners begin to feel that they are harassed by their partners, opposing personalities. There'll always be opposing personalities, or there could be just poor management overall in this kind of businesses. And of course, there will be individuals who begin to feel they're unfairly treated. And definitely there are always unrealistic expectations. These are normally the reasons, some of the causes why conflicts will arise. So when I'm talking about negotiation, I'm talking about how can we communicate to overcome such conflicts that arise in any partnerships or even in any kind of workplace situation. It's always about the same thing. So really, it's for us to really recognize that, there are always going to be biased perceptions about fairness on both sides. And we need to avoid looking at the I versus you mentality, us versus them kind of mentality, even in a workplace situation. All these, if we were more careful about it, we would avoid the escalating tensions. And very often people forget that, we should be looking at points of similarity. What is it that we connect on together that made us grow our business in the first place? What can we identify that makes us strong together, rather than looking at what benefits me versus benefits you? And sometimes also in this whole conflict situation, we really need to look beneath the surface to identify the deeper issues. There's always something at the bottom that is bothering one of the partners. And I'm really relating at to some of the businesses. We need to separate what are the issues we can negotiate on, not negotiate on. So really we need to think about supporting each other to get what we want, rather than destroying what we have already set up and what we already have on hand. So to me, this is what, when we talk about negotiation and conflict, this is the overall picture that I'm looking at. Andrea.
Thank you so much. Amazing, the description and the vision. And in the workplace, there are many conflict situations throughout the days of doing business. Even if it's a big corporate or it's a small enterprise, there will be always, just as you said, among partners, among employees, among the leaders and the employees. So there's always something popping up, something new that we have to solve. So how is communication playing a part in this? How can communication help in handling all these problems?
Right, because communication is the core area of this. So, in any communication, it's very important to have a very clear understanding of the purpose of the conversation that we are going to have when we are trying to resolve an issue. We need to be very, very clear. We need to know what are our critical points that we want to bring up in our communication. Is it the processes? Is it the key elements of the project? Is it the basis of setting up the business? Is it the initial agreements? Is it the profit sharing? Is it the amount of effort we put in? And we also need to be very clear about what are our non-negotiables, our values. Values must be there, because sometimes you're talking about products, Suddenly one partner may say, okay, I can bring in this kind of a product. Whether it's in our Malaysian culture, for example, these things can arise. Suddenly you say, oh, beef is selling better, or pork is selling better. Why not we begin, is more in demand. But maybe the original assessment was we should just remain halal, for example, pork free or beef free or whatever. Simple things like this. These are values. We can come back to our values. Maybe it is because of our religion, or, whatever we may have about, or thinking about the clientele that we are focusing on. One person is focusing on versus the other person. So the purpose for the conversation is very, very important when we talk about communication. Addressing the issue immediately and openly is another point. We cannot let it, it really get bigger, the issue get bigger until, you can't talk about it anymore. The minute we notice that something not going the way it should be, that we had agreed upon, I think we need to address the issue immediately and openly. That's another point. And we also need to worry about, or be concerned about, the way we deliver our message. We need to think about our body language. We need to think about our tone of voice, our facial expressions, our whole intention to be curious, to understand why there is this disagreement, what it is that my partner is disagreeing about, or my employee is disagreeing about, or my boss is disagreeing about. We need to be curious. We need to want to understand. The intention to understand must be very clear in any communication. So the idea is active listening. We need to listen. We need to listen for the intention. We need to know what it is that is bothering somebody before accusing and rejecting it out of hand. So, that body language helps with that. And the other thing is sometimes, especially in smaller enterprises, we need to also listen to emotions, or it can be for any. We need to be more empathetic. We need to listen to emotions. We need to listen to why somebody is really excited, or because a conflict can also be, caused because somebody's excited to expand a business, not because they're angry with you, but because they want to expand and you don't want to put in the money for it. So why they are very excited, or why they're very mad. If it could be that one partner thinks that they're putting in more effort than the other, and the other one feels that they're putting in equal effort, because it's how you measure your efforts. That's a bit difficult in any business, I'm going to refer to the social enterprises, because that's what I've been really helping with more. And the bonding and the rapport that we need to show respect for, that we started off with, is very, very important. So listening to the emotions, back again to why somebody is upset with us, is so important. So in the communication, building active listening skills is very important. Another thing about communication sometimes is that, we need to not just think about speaking on an ad hoc, basis. We really sometimes need to practice. We need to think how we are going to say something to somebody. And sometimes we practice aloud. It helps us to clarify even the messaging that we are going to be putting forth to the person that we are, having this conflict with, or this disagreement with. So that practicing in communication is also very important. And in that communication, it's also extremely important to set clear expectations. Sometimes we tend to communicate without having these points in place. Clear expectations, recognizing differences. I think these are also very important. So overall, in the communication, it's about knowing your purpose, addressing issues immediately, using neutral terms and open body language, making sure that you are empathetic, you build active listening skills, listen with empathy and emotions, clarifying your key messages, setting clear expectations, also what you expect out of that resolution of this disagreement. I don't want to use the word conflict necessarily, because sometimes it's just a disagreement, but it can escalate to a conflict if we are not careful. And recognizing and respecting the personal differences and the differences that the other person, the different thinking and the different ideas the other person may have. I think all this is very, very important. So to me, that is, the important aspect of communication within this whole ambit of negotiating in a conflict.
Love it. And about the communication skills, because there are so many communication skills that we have to explore, we have to get to learn more about it. So what do you think are the most important ones, and how can we develop them? How can we work on them more, besides all the things that you said earlier? So tell us a little bit more about this point.
Okay, so I'm going back again to the purpose, because that was one of the first communication skills, is knowing the purpose of your conversation. It goes back to understanding what is it that you are willing to give up on and what you're not willing to give up on, what the other person is willing to give up on and what the other person is not willing to give up on. And knowing that even beforehand helps. However, when you are having that conversation, you need to reiterate the purpose, their purpose and your purpose, why you're having it. It's the same thing. It goes back to the same thing about, for example, if I decide that after COVID now, or even after 2 years, I now have a family to think about, or maybe a small family I've started, thinking of some of my, coaches, somebody who has to now reduce the amount of time that they can give in perhaps what they were expected to do in putting the products together. It can be a very simple thing that you're selling cakes online, and I don't have the time now to bake the cakes as much time. So maybe somebody else can do that. So I do what I think I can do online, or what I can do while also taking care of my small family, and somebody else has to bake more cakes, perhaps, for example. Simple example like that. So if you are, you have a partnership of 4 people, for example, so you can negotiate among your partners, communicate with them why is it you can't do something now, and why you need a little time off, because you think long term for the business. And they'll say, maybe in this 1 year I can't do it. I've just had a baby, for example. I can't give the same amount of time. And the other partners may say, but we are in it together, and we had decided we were going to have equal time, 1 week each over the 4 weeks in a month that we will be baking the cakes. Using a very simple example like that. So how do you communicate? I take up a little bit more of your work. How do you negotiate with the others? That I will spend the same amount of time, but not doing what I need to do, because during that time I can't do it, to bake that cake and send it off to the client or to the customers. I can't do it at that time. I can work at night. So, again, it's a matter of going back to the purpose of, yes, I can do the work, I can give my contribution, I'll do it in this way. Maybe I'll take care of the accounts, or maybe I'll take care of the marketing, online marketing. So renegotiate on the kind of tasks that we had agreed on. And so it's little things like this. The purpose is back again to addressing issues openly, immediately, not saying that you're not sensitive to my needs and you're not sensitive to what I may be going through right now. It shouldn't be that way. It should be more along the line of, let us talk and let us come to some form of agreement where our business continues to succeed, and how I can spend more time in one area and you can maybe spend more time in the other area. And if you cannot, then let's look at a third alternative, and that is to employ somebody, so which we may not have thought of doing earlier, but now we can do it. Why not? Or think of maybe where I can reduce on some of my income and bring in somebody else. So it's addressing issues openly. And when speaking, while speaking, again, it goes back to the skill of neutral terms, open body language. Don't accuse. Don't accuse the person of, why are you not understanding where I'm coming from? Why are you not understanding I need help too? It's more along the line of, I'm willing to give up. I'm willing to pay up part of my, what I could earn, and recruit somebody to do it, and getting you to agree to that. So I think these are things that are important, but very important also is to listen to the other party's point of views, and see how you can, I don't want to use the word influence, but how you can make them understand and respect my perspective, my time, the same way you would respect the other person's time. So I think these are all very important issues that need to be done. Sorry, I'm just putting in the chat.
No problem, no problem. We have a question coming up from the audience. Amelia is listening, and she has a question. So how can we communicate to business owners who refuse to see the business holistically? And at what level the negotiations can go before the management team know that they couldn't do much?
I'll take part of the question first. And this is, looking at, because these are some of the things that we talk about when we talk about tough. When something is tough in the negotiation, there's a tough question there, right? So we really need to look at, one of the strategies normally is when you have something tough coming up, and you need to reinterpret the demand. You need to reinterpret what is it that the other person is asking for. How do you reframe? You need to acknowledge. I think it's very important for us to acknowledge the question and reframe it in a reciprocal format, in a format, and shift it to a more positive focus. Sometimes you cannot, because like it involves values. Sometimes it's very hard to come to an agreement. All right. So sometimes we have to part ways, or we have to come up with very distinct, different kinds of roles, so that one role doesn't infringe on the other role, and it's not everybody's having the same roles. But really, it's about reinterpreting a demand. It's about acknowledging and reframing and shifting to a more positive focus. I think that's very important. The other one is also about turning the tables, actually. Sometimes turning the tables to the other side, asking them, what are they expecting? It's going back to the expectations, asking them about their expectations. And then it's always about, what I said from the beginning, is addressing the underlying concern. There is normally an underlying concern, and identifying that underlying concern is very important. That's why it's important sometimes to reframe, to reverse the burden as well, because that way it helps you to address and look at underlying concerns and adapt your response to meet them. So it's always going beyond the question of what somebody is also asking you. And it's always about focusing on opportunities. And that's why we always say in communication, avoid the use of the word but, and use the word and. I think, if people are familiar with Simon Sinek, in all his various talks and his books, he always talks about this and versus but. Use the word and how can we go to do this, and how do I see beyond what you see, rather than, hold on, but this is where I see it. You don't want to use the word but, because then it becomes more of contradiction and opposing, going into the opposition side. Whereas when you use the word and, then I'm on the same platform with you, on the same side of the table with you. So I think these are some of the things that we can do when we have something that is tough to address, focusing on the and taking it on the same, taking it further by reinterpreting and reframing what the other person wants.
So this is one of the strategies, I guess, but you can have other strategies, right? So what are the other strategies that are also working besides reframing, besides thinking on with the other person's, taking the head of the other person, turning the table, trying to understand, react in a different way. So what are the things that we still can do, even if we are not so familiar with negotiation skills or communication skills, simple things that people can do?
One of the things actually is sometimes in negotiation, you have to make an agreement to what you want to talk about and what you don't want to talk about. You can actually draw parameters. And these are very simple things. Just rule out all the inappropriate topics that we will not talk about. So that way we begin to focus on what we need to talk about. I think it goes back to that as well. It's very, very important to move towards that. And besides all the various strategies we are doing, because this is a very short session and we are just looking at some of the main strategies that we can look at. We should look at, standards. When we focus and we rule out the inappropriate topics, what we do not want to discuss, what we shouldn't discuss about, we can also begin to set standards. And in negotiation, sometimes that is very, very important. And of course, it's very important to listen to what the other person is saying and deciding with them, right? And deciding with them on where we can go beyond, what we want to address and take forward, and what we don't want to take forward. Very simple strategies. Very simple strategy. That way, negotiation will move faster when we begin to delineate the topic that is appropriate for our negotiation and the topic that is not. Sometimes, because it's only one, you think there are many things that are bothering you, but at the end, while listening and having this conversation, you realize there's just one area that somebody wants to address. So then that's what we should do. So that is one of the things that we can do. And because often in conflict negotiation, we are always focusing on our rights, our interest. Very often it's, if you really look at it, most of the communication fails because it's interest-based conflict negotiation. And it's my interest versus your interest. So if you can negotiate, put the interest aside, put the biases and the power, my power, your power, my right, your right aside, and focus on the issue that the biggest underlying concern that needs to be dealt with right now for the business to move forward, for example, or for the job to move forward, or the project to move forward. Then that's what we need to do. We need to delineate all the they're not irrelevant topics, but maybe topics that can be discussed later. For this negotiation and for this communication that we have set up this conversation for, we focus only on this aspect. So I think this is very important to put aside individual interests and power and rights. And that whole interest-based conflict negotiation, it's if we can do it and we have the right strategy, we can really generate much, much better satisfaction, much, much better working relationships. And it also becomes less expensive and make sure our business goes forward and we continue to make money, which is the most important thing. So it's always about solving problems and solving the most important problem right now, rather than thinking about all the other kinds of concerns.
Thank you so much. So many things to think about and to implement and to really listen. So guys, if you're watching, and Achan, thank you, Jagat, Manjit, thank you for being here, Amelia, Krishan. So it's a lot of things to digest. So please, I would ask you to really listen to this talk and this conversation, and then try to ask yourself how I can use it in my own life, in my own business, in my relation, in my own existence here in this world, so how you can apply it. And thank you so much, Kiran, for sharing it. So as a last point here, before we are bringing up Kayatthri to the studio, because she's already here, where can people reach you, and what are the things that you are really focusing on today? Tell us a little bit about your connections, and where can we find you?
Thank you, Andrea. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And of course, the easiest way is always my email. But there's social media out there to to get the initial contact, and send me your email, and I'll call you. I can always write back to you. That is the best way. I think it's very important for us to connect with a bigger community. And Andrea, that's why I really appreciate your global empowerment hub, and the committee, the whole committee, the whole connections that you are giving us globally in our weekly sessions. I think that's really wonderful. And for people who are listening here, you want to join our sessions, I think if you look at Andrea's social media as well, you'll get to know all the different times that she's holding various sessions. And because we do a lot of it online as well, it's really easy to connect and be part of the conversation. So I really appreciate that, Andrea. And I know we first met together when COVID just started. It was just before COVID starting, and that was in 2020, right? Early 2020. I think I have learned so much during that time. And I think so have all the others in this group. So kudos to your whole setup and this summit. Congratulations on it as well, Andrea.
So, thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you for the appreciation, and thank you for being here, because I always say that we can give as much as we want, but if there is no one to receive it and use it and take it for their own development, then there is nothing to do. We cannot really do. I always say that I can walk the talk, but you also have to walk the talk, and you are one of them who took that challenge and who pick it up, and you are here who you are today, starting your business and being a coach and talking about your passion, the topic that you love to do. So well done, and I'm so happy for you, Kiran.
Thank you, Andrea. And I agree with you. You need to be an actor and not just an observer to really succeed and get the best benefit out of all the programs. Thank you. And thanks to all our audience.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful afternoon. Enjoy your Saturday. And then we meet again on the usual meetups. And I wish you all the success in the coaching, and wish you all your mentees that you can take everything with an open mind and they can grow with you. So thank you so much for being here on the stage of the Global Empowerment Hub again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So changing speakers, and I see Kayatthri already in the studio. Hope she's getting ready, and once she's showing the video, I will bring her up and we will talk about the last thing before we go for lunch break. So today the program is a little bit changing, so we will have Kayatthri with me right now for 25 minutes of talking about something very special that she's passionate about. Then we will go on a break from 1, and we will only come back around 4 p.m. with Yvonne Dem, and then after that we will be also having a break at 6, and then we will have the evening session. So we have 7-8 more conversation today with some breaks so that you can also breathe. And then we are ending the summit today around 9 p.m. and we are coming back on Sunday. So that's for today for the administration part. And then now I'm bringing up Kayatthri to have our conversation today. Hi Kayatthri, how are you today?
Hi, Andrea. I'm fantastic. How are you? Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, everything all right. You are welcome in the studio, and thank you for being here on Saturday. I always appreciate the speakers using your personal time just to be here and to give and empower others. So I'm so thankful for you.
I realized that I cannot miss this session because it's like the 3rd year we are doing this, and for the effort that you are putting in, I think we really need to give this support to you, right? So since I couldn't, my session was supposed to have been last week, right? Due to some health issues, so it has to move, but I really wanted to do it. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you so much for coming back and for not giving up, and I hope you are all well and cured and everything is all right now with you. And I'm
Yeah.
happy to bring up your topic, which is something very exciting. But before we do that, Kayatthri, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your personal side, about your professional side, so that the viewers can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay, I think my name is Kayatthri. Okay, so I am actually a mom of two. So that is like the main thing, the most important thing, right? So, and I'm also a digital marketing consultant and a trainer. I am running a social media agency whereby I service corporate clients. We manage their social media pages. We run paid advertisement for them, based on whatever their organizational goals are. So we try to help them from the digital point of view. So that's about me. I'm always based in Selangor, Puchong, but my hometown is Ipoh. I'm a Ipoh Mali girl, right? So yeah.
I think Puchong is my favorite dim sum place. We always go there to eat some
Oh, all
dim sum.
right. Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of things to offer here, but go to Ipoh. Ipoh have much better food.
Yeah, I know. I love epok too. One of my friends, Aaron, one of the speakers, he
Ah,
surprised me with some epok chicken. So I was like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
that's so
food.
good!"
All right. Yes, yes, definitely, right? Go to Ipoh for good food.
We are talking about food before the lunchtime. It's just normal. I'm starting to be hungry, but
So
let's start
dangerous,
to
we have to talk with so much of passion so that we can have a good lunch later.
exactly. So I will bring up your topic, which will be about digital literacy and the take up by entrepreneurs post COVID. So this is something that we wanted to put on board because yeah, it's an important topic. Everyone is online. It's really hard to be visible, but at the same time there was also a very difficult situation in the last 2-3 years, and we had to adapt and quickly so that we are not out of business, which suddenly happened to a lot of people. So let me ask you to introduce your topic, your title a little bit. Why is it so important for you, and why did you choose this for your conversation?
Okay. So when you mention that we have to be visible online, right? So that means you are constantly creating your content. Like you can be a business owner, you can work in a SME, you have a brand. We are talking about retailers. We can talk about anything. As long as you have a customer base that you need to service, and you are depending on these consumers, then you have to be extremely visible, especially on social media, especially on digital platform, whichever digital platform, right? You can be on website. You have a really good website, and when people search you, your website pops up in the first page or what. And your social media, you just constantly create good content and stuff like that. So I'm very sure a lot of us are already doing it, but still, why is it so hard to get the results that we wanted to get? All right, so that is always been the question. Like during my classes, I have my students. A lot of them are business owners, digital marketeers, SMEs, and solopreneurs. So they just like, I keep putting content on my social media, TikTokers, for example, right? So every day I have like 3 or 4 content that I put up on my TikTok, right? But I am not getting the kind of engagement that I wanted to get. Or sometimes I can have that reach. That means I get like, maybe a few thousand or more than 10,000 views, but it still doesn't convert into sales, because end of the day, sales is what we want. Money matters, right? So we want to see that, unless your entire objective of you is only on creating awareness, that's a different thing. But most of us who are in the business, we want to see that. So one of the things that I realize is, when you are creating content, all right, it's not about, yeah, consistency is very important. If you create content, you need to keep on consistently creating content, because there's this thing that they say that if you're out of sight, you are out of mind. So people don't remember you. All right. So consistency is very important. But what is equally important with consistency is the quality of your content. So this lacks a lot, especially if you are alone creating the content. So the content that you create lacks that quality. So what is quality? You need to put your consumer first. You need to know what actually motivates this consumer to actually consume your content, so that they can consume your product. Consuming is not like literally consuming, right? It can just purchase or sign up or anything. It can be anything, right? So the conversion must happen there. But if the content that you're creating lacks the quality, it doesn't motivate your consumer to actually come back to you. All right. So, and when we dig deep down into this, we realize that a lot of content creators, in the digital environment, right, business owners, the process of creating this content lacks somewhere or other. They probably don't have the right way of creating content. Where do they source for the information? It can be their own information, but how do they communicate it? All right. So all this goes back to the literacy, digital literacy. All right. So when we talk about literacy, it means normal literacy is you are able to read, you are able to write, you are able to count. So that is like the three things people will regard you at literate, right? The same thing when it comes to digital, they are not just three things. There are six elements that is very important uh, to be able. When people talk about digital literacy, these are actually the six things, the elements that we need to master. Like the first thing is digital access. Digital access means you need to know how to get information. You need to know how to get the correct information. You see, now information is like a lot. The moment you want to look for certain things, you go Google, right? What do you do, Andrea? If you want to search for some information, you ask Mr. Google. Do you use any other search engine?
I used to ask my father.
Your father is your search engine. Okay, that's nice. So like for me, I use Google. I use Bing. Not so much of Bing. DuckDuckGo. There is another platform called DuckDuckGo, which they don't track your previous records and all that. They don't record the digital footprints, and Ecosia. So these are like alternative to Google, right? But at one point, you will be going to any search engine to look for information. But the problem here is we have a lot of information, and a lot of information are misinformation. All right. Some are real, some are created perhaps by some individual, society, or policymakers who has certain interest on that information. So it can be very biased. So how do we know where to collect the right information? So that is the access, the first thing. All right. We cannot just go to Google. Okay, again, when I mentioned earlier, you want your website to be in the front page, right? But not all the quality content will be in the front page. The moment you're good in manipulating SEO, you can be on the front page altogether. So it's not about being on the front page. You see, if you're looking for information, you can dig deep to the second page, third page, or fourth page also, right? And like, for example, if for me, right, I'm currently studying as well. So when I need to look for a lot of information, and I really cannot go to Google and search for it. So I know the place that I need to search is online libraries or Google Scholar, because they have really good articles, journals, academic writings that I can use, right? So this is about knowing where you need to access for the information. That's the first thing. The second thing is, now you already, like, let's say you are in an organization, you are working in an organization, you already got this information. Okay, to gain this information, I need to go to, for example, Web of Science. So they give me the best information, right? So this website is good. Or I found a podcast, a video content or audio content that's really good. So I'm going to access my information from that. So that's on accessing. Now, once you have all this information, the next thing that we need to do is you need to manage the information. So that is the second element. In the organization, managing information is really, really important. You need to, for example, you have like a classification scheme, or you have like a Dropbox or anything where everyone can access to the information, unless it's sensitive information within the organization. That's a different thing. But people within the organization, they need to know how to manage the information, how to access to that. All right. So and to retrieve it in the future, to use it for the future application, all this is very important. Okay, it's not just about setting up the process, but it's about really following the process. You see, that's very hard to get people to follow, especially if you're working in a larger companies, or you have to manage a lot of manpower, right? So once you already have done that, like accessing the information, you have the right information, you know how to manage it. Now it's all about integrating the information. All right. So so what we mean by integrating the information, you see, you may have information that you get from different resources. All right. So it may come from what you call that archive. For example, if you have an archive, it can come from an archive, or it can come from online. It can come from so many other places. So the thing here is you need to properly put it together. It has to be like all the data collected, all the information collected, it has to be properly integrated. All right. So that once you have already integrated, the fourth thing that you go is on collaborating. You use digital spaces, like for example, for working together in learning and learning about, probably taking turn and collaborating. This is like the next thing is you collaborate, you integrate, and then you collaborate. So integrating also means you summarize, because you see, information are a lot, but probably for our organization, we don't need A to Z. Probably you need A to F. So you put that in there. So it's easy for people when they want to look for information and to collaborate with you, right? So once this first stage has been done, the next is the critical one. What is it? You start creating content. So for those who are looking, watching this, right? Just ask yourself, are you actually following this process? Are you spending time to look for the right information? Or it's just that you go to the Google page, whatever page that you want, and then the first website that you see, you just take the information out, and then you create it straight away, a content out of it. All right. So look into this. All right. How are you doing it as a process? Like I mentioned, access, you integrate, you collaborate, and then you create. So when you're creating this information also, it has to be, you have to look at the platform that you want to publish this information. If it's going to be on a social media platform, people are so all most of the social media platform are moving towards, are actually already moved towards video content. So a video would be the right way of presenting your content. All right. So but if you are contributing this to a newspaper article, or no online magazines or any other publication, so it has to be written in a proper way, right? So because the readers there are different, so you cannot write something like how you write for your social media to an online publication. All right. So this is how you generate information, by adapting to the social media platform, also adapting to what your consumer wants, and applying all the information that you have created. Now you design, you invent a new content altogether, and you start authoring this information. All right. So then once this is done, what you do next is you communicate. This is the last stage in digital literacy. The 6 stages will be access, you manage, you integrate, you collaborate, you create, and finally you communicate. Okay, communication wise, it's the meaning to say that your content, you have to communicate with a person, all right, because you want that person to take an informed decision for whatever you want them to do. All right, so the communication must be clear. They must be able to adapt to that, whatever that you are giving them, the information. It has to, like what we call the persuade them, to meet their needs, the need of the audience, whoever is reading your content, so that you can convert them. So this 6 process is what defines digital literacy. Not only that, so if you want to go detail, you also look into digital tools. So which comes under digital skills, right? So if you have so many things with digital, you see, so tools like how do you use certain, like for example, even when you're using a search engine, there are ways of using search engine. You use keywords and or, so that you can get detailed, very precise information. Or when you are using social media, all right, So how do you set, let's say you're running a ads on social media, how do you do the setting correctly? Because you're going to spend money on it, right? So you need to make sure every cent that you, every dollar or every ringgit that you're going to spend has to come back to you. You know, there must be a return on your investment. So all this will be very helpful when you learn how to do, how to use the digital tools. All right. And then finally, we also have skills, digital skills, which also creating and communicating is also part of digital skills. And once you have done all this, the very, very important thing that you also want to look into is on the results, which a lot of us are actually we're not paying too much of attention on it, you see. Like for example, I've done a lot of content writing, or I've done some campaign on social media. For example, I do a lot of campaign on social media. How do I know the campaign that I do is actually good, right? So can I repeat the same content next month? All right. So this is for my clients. We do all this, right? So I wouldn't know this unless I look at the results. All right. I generate the report, I check it through the data. And of course, we have to ask the client as well, you know, what kind of leads do you get? Are the leads convertible, or are they poor leads, or are they good leads? What is the percentage of the leads and all that? So these are the information that you need to know so that you can perfect your campaign for the future campaign. But I'm not sure how many of us are doing it. If it's an agency, yes, people will do, you know, but not everyone can probably afford an agency because it can be expensive, especially if you're running a business on your own. So you just want to keep the cost as low as possible. And trust me, all these things, it can be done by individual. All right, you just need to spend a little bit of time, your time, to learn about it first, and then you apply. All right. And this is what I see post COVID. Post COVID, we for the first 2 years, or around 2 years, right? 2020 and 2021. We kind of like everything was online. Everything was online. So I see a lot of people were taking up social media. They were going into websites, they're creating content and all these things. And then the good thing is it doesn't slow down. People are venturing more into it. But the thing here is, don't stop at where you are, because digital platforms are evolving a lot. So it's constant learning, constant knowing what to do, and understanding your consumer behavior to really come up with a good plan so that you can actually stay in that competition. If not, if you are not upgrading yourself, it is going to be very risky on the future. Really, it's going to be very risky. So keep looking at new platforms, like you know what's happening with Twitter. All right. So if you've been on Twitter, so that strategy is going to change a lot now. So, and if anyone who is been on Facebook for very long, you know that the reach on Facebook has gone so bad. But now they are changing something. You have a creator mode and all that, which when a lot of my students and even my clients, when we use it, they see like organic reach is getting higher on Facebook also. So these are all the new changes that's happening. You need to be there. All right. You need to know what's happening and implement in your business or in your organization as fast as you can. Do not wait. All right. So actually, I wanted to share with you guys about this. And do you have any question that you want to ask me? I can keep on going.
I know. I just let you speak because I think that's the most important. It's coming from the right source. You are working in this industry, so there's no need for me to ask questions because you are telling from the source everything what people need to know. So, guys, there was a lot of information here. So I would just again say, listen again, learn again, reach out to Kayatthri, because these are the things that you cannot really get normally just like that, as she said, online, because it's authentic information from someone who is working in this business for a long time and with entrepreneurs and big companies. So she has a waste of knowledge, a big knowledge that everyone can just chip in a little bit, learn a little bit, apply a little bit. If you just put these 6 steps together and you start to work a little bit on your own pace with this 6th step and do your research, and then follow everything until the end, until you communicate, collaborate, and until you are publishing and building your presence, it will already help. You just try it out. I would say, okay, from now today you heard Kayatthri, and take 30 days and then implement and do these 6 steps for every post that you make online. That will already change your reach, and you are practicing basically, like Kayatthri.
Yes, true, true. It's all about practicing. That what you mentioned is really, really true. Another thing, if whatever that you are doing doesn't give the results that you want, trust me, it's not the platform. It's not, we have people saying like, I've done all this, and I think it's just Instagram is not working for me. Instagram is just bad. If Instagram is working for so many millions of people out there, why is it not working for you? Is it the platform's fault, or probably we don't know how to use it to its full potential? All right. So it's all about learning again, learning and applying, and don't give up. That's all. Don't give up.
And it's good to reach out to people like you. I mean, that's the thing that we have. I have to admit that I also have all the social medias, and I was managing it alone, and I'm restructuring how I can do it, because I just want to have a different viewpoint on that. But it's a lot of work to be there all the time, to post every time, to do the 6 steps, what you just mentioned, to check the insights, to communicate with the people who are there, who are related, just engaging with other accounts and other people who are there on that social media. Even just you choose one platform, it takes a lot of time to reach out to everyone, right?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I really understand the struggle of if you are running a business and you don't really have a lot of people to help you out, then it is a bit of a struggle. But my advice would be, I'm really not in a position to advise people, but maybe something that I can just say, a word of comfort probably. Take it slow. You don't really need to rush. I need to get all these 6 things done today, or I have like 10 things on my plate, I need to do it today. Take one day perhaps to just look through the content, and then end of the month you look through the all this improvements, based on the results and stuff like that. Don't kill yourself. This is the platforms are there to help us. It's not the other way around. It's not there to make your life stressful. It's supposed to be helpful for you. All right, take it slow and reach out. We have a lot of people, like even you guys can even reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. So, and then if you like, my students still do that. It's been like few years. I taught them like many years ago, but when they have problem, they reach out to me. Right. So if you have anyone in your community that you know that this person is good in certain area, just reach out. People are really willing to help. They just need to ask. Right.
Thank you so much. It was an amazing conversation, and I'm grateful for you to being here and sharing about your knowledge and about the digital literacy and the steps, and about how to take it up again after this little bit of strange times. So, Kayatthri, I wish you a beautiful Saturday, and thank you so much for being here at the Third Global Empowerment Summit.
Thank you so much for having me here, Andrea. You're doing an extremely and awesome job. Thank you so much for bringing all of us together, giving a lot of inputs. I just learned a lot during this empowerment summit. Thank you again. Thank you for the great
Thank you
work.
so much, Kayatthri, and have a beautiful day with your family.
You too. You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So we are switching in the studio now for a lunch break, and after we were talking about food with the beginning of the conversation with Kayatthri, I will also go and have some lunch, and I would also tell you to do that, and we will be coming back. So before I leave the studio, I just have to say we have small changes this weekend. So we will come back from the break only around 4 p.m. So until 4 p.m. you have time, go around and then check back from 4. We will have 4 interviews between 4 and 6 p.m. Then again, we will have the evening dinner time break, and then we will come back at 8 o'clock for 3 more interviews. And then we are finishing today at 9 p.m., a little bit earlier than usual. And tomorrow we have a switch because one of the speakers couldn't go for the early morning session. So the leadership masterclass will be switched to 1 p.m. And the other masterclass is coming up right after that around 4 p.m. So those are the little changes. Don't forget, we have an amazing quiz night scheduled on Sunday evening. So make sure you are there and have fun and answer the quizzes. I shared in the comments that we have a lot of new questions popping up already in the quiz that we are doing until the end of the summit. So make sure you are checking in. Thank you for Christian, Jag, Lalita, everyone who's watching us. Please rewatch these videos. There's so much to learn from Kayatthri and all the other speakers who came before her. And I wish you a beautiful lunch break and see you again around 4 p.m. with another session with 4 different speakers from all around the world to empower you with different knowledge. So have an amazing break and see you very, very soon, guys.